The what, sorry? You like armour? I don't know what you're talking about. Look how flexible this piece of leather is. No. Armour doesn't exist. It doesn't. It's not true. It's an illusion. It's a decoration. It's a myth. It does... No. That's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. No, fine. I'll talk about armour. Okay, if you want me to make the video, make the video. Not a problem. No. Right, no problem. I've written down a few points because you know what? You know, you had a long day and you're there, you come home and you're like, listen, I've spent a lot of time teaching today. I'm rather tired, my liege. And I think it's about time to, relax, remove it, take off your shoes and watch some TV. Or perhaps, something on the internet. So since I really like ancient times and battles and warriors and swords and that sort of lovely jubbly thing, I thought to myself, I'm just going to watch some battles because it's fun, see warriors in armour fighting each other. So I started watching some films, not the entirety of the films. I just looked for the battles on YouTube of films that I've already watched a long time ago because I didn't really remember much about these battles, and now I know why. Because some of these, it's the Italian blood, it's already boiling. Because of what happens, it's a constant. Armour doesn't work. It makes no sense. Everyone cleaves through armour as if it was freaking butter. What's the point in wearing armour if you can cut through it with such... Check this out, I've written down a few. Okay, I thought to myself, well, I love the Romans, so let's just watch a film like Centurion. You see, the film was even entertaining. It's not that I didn't like it, I had a good time. And in the battle in the forest, okay, it's an ambush, and they get ambushed, all the Romans, and then they have to fight. And you see this apart from the fact that archers in these films, in these movies, they are all Robin frigging Hood. All of them. They always manage to hit people from a reasonable distance, in the eye, in the cheekbone, in the frigging chin, just underneath the strap of the helmet. It's like, the person is in full armour, they only got this little triangle and they hit them there. Oh, it was like here in the very moment they sort of raises the arrow. Okay, never mind that, they're all Robin Hood, fantastic. But apart from that, you see the Britons, the Picts I think in that film, and they start cleaving, cutting with their swords, hitting the Romans where the lorica segmentata is, and we're talking about lorica segmentata. It's like the best armor Romans had against cutting and even piercing, to be honest. It's a good armor, solid construction. And then they go like this, and the Roman soldier does, you hit me, you cut me, I'm dead. And of course the Picts are wearing nothing and they're naked. Why bother? I mean, it doesn't work. It's clear. You can easily cut through metal. It's impossible to cut through a segmentata like this. And even in the battle at the fort, it's like they managed to enter this castrum, the Roman fort, super easy, like they get in. It looks like they had no patrol, to be honest, because, it's a frigging... Anyways, the Picts enter the fort and they start slaughtering the Romans, and of course they're completely naked, fighting like that. And then they've got archers, they've got people with axes, people with sword, and to be honest, it doesn't matter because whatever weapon you give them, they still manage to cut plates and they manage to cut the segmentata the Romans are wearing. And you see this literally, you see this scene where the warrior does that. That's a cutting motion to the belly of the Roman soldier who is wearing segmentata, and you see the guy getting like, he does this, it's like, oh, you cut me. No, you didn't. He did not cut you. It didn't cut you. But let's continue. I'm not even mentioning the film The Eagle, where they don't even wear metal armor. For some reasons, they're wearing these sort of fashionable leather jerkins with the, they sort of look like segmentata. But I gotta say, when he says, where the commander, he says, testudo, foam. It's kind of cool. I'll give them that. But apart from that, you know, the scene is. But never mind that film. I've got another one for you. We've got plenty. I've got plenty of things to say. Plenty. The Gladiator opening battle. Well, the battle is fun. I mean, finally we see the Roman soldiers for what, you know, they completely butcher their opponent, which is what happened most of the times. When it didn't happen is because they weren't in open battle, and that is an open battle, and it's kind of cool. It's well depicted, not perfect of course. The whole film has got loads of things that didn't actually happen, even the death of the emperor, spoiler alert, but it didn't even happen that way anyway. So, and I think you can't even say spoiler alert for a historical film. It's like spoiler alert, Rome fell. You know, I don't think that's a problem. But yeah, I mean, the opening battle, it's all right. You don't see much of that. In the opening battle, there is only one part where you see a legionary who is wounded, clearly, which is fine. I mean, legionaries got wounded, of course, but he's wounded and he's holding his bosom, like the very core of his armor, segmentat again, and he's walking like this, like, they hit me here. Did they? I'd be very curious to see how they managed that. Not that it's impossible, but super hard. If it was this... Let's say it wasn't. Right, so continuing, on the Templar. You've got a few battles on this film, and if you haven't watched it and you want to watch it, I don't know, skip this part because I am going to spoil it. But apart from the fact that the male armor in this film looks odd, it looks like it's zinc-plated buttered mail put on a cotton hood. That's what it looks like. But apart from that, okay, they're wearing full mail hauberk, right? And of course they start chopping and cutting everyone which is impossible to cut the mail. And I can understand, you know, penetration with very pointy swords, and although again not easy to do, so it would make more sense if you really want to see penetration of armor to get it penetrated by a war bow. That would make more sense. But again, they cut throughout the entire film, and people wearing full hauberks die immediately because of course you're cutting through the rings, which should be riveted mail, and it would be impossible. But not only that, the frigging Templar, the protagonist, okay, he gives his very uplifting speech to his soldiers, very nice, before the final battle, and then the battle begins, and you see them. Well, first you've got this shower of arrows, and again they're all and it's funny because they use this technique that they always show in film, which is not historical, because in all medieval treatises we see the opposite, with the archers pointing down, not pointing upward. Also because the bow was most likely used at short range, because if you use it at too long range, or at least mid-range, but if you use it at too long range and you do this, it's not going to penetrate armor. And if it's plate armor, forget penetrating. But so yeah, that's really strange. But again, they don't even aim, they throw like this, and you see loads of knights being hit in between the frigging, you know, he's wearing a mail coif, and it's actually nice because it's covering up to the chin, how it should be. At least they got that one right. And then he's got the nasal helm and the big nasal here, because the nasal was big, so much so that sometimes they needed to remove the helmet to show who they were. They couldn't recognize each other. So you've got this little spot here, and that's where the arrow. You're unlucky bastard. We reach the final confrontation with the bad guy, the villain, the good Templar. He's running, galloping on his horse, and the bad guy, he does this, ole, and he cuts through the tunic, the Templar tunic, the frigging mail, and the cut is so deep into his ribs that, yes, they win the battle. He comes home, his lady sees him, his beloved, a woman sees him, and then he dies because he bled too much. So apart from the fact that I'm asking myself, actually, now that I think of it, why the heck did they not, you know, medicate him, to do something? Because it's funny when you realize that, like, she touches him and she's got his blood on her hand, and then he falls down and dies, and he says blah 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 a few things, and then he dies, and then it's all, you know, that's such a terrible thing, he died. But and you see that when he's about to die, because of all the blood is lost, which means the cut was frigging deep. So that sword, this went through tunic, riveted mail hauberk, gambeson underneath, another tunic underneath, broke the ribs, and went through and eventually killed him. Yeah, Star Wars. laser blade. But apart from that, why the heck did they not give him a little, like a bandage or something? Whatever. Anyway, so if you want to continue, got a few others. Viking opening battle scene. The great heathen army, and you see, it's hilarious. Apart from the armor in that series, which is like the leather jerking department store, but you know, they're all, you see the infantry of the Vikings, whatever, they charge in running towards cavalry, which stands still. I think that's enough. But yeah, let's continue. Braveheart, yeah, Braveheart, that's one. In Braveheart, you see frigging Mel Gibson, and he's using the sword, and Mel Gibson, I think, is like shorter than me. The original Braveheart would have been taller, but that's not like a tall man, like a Scot, you know, Scotland. I'm from Scotland. I should not talk about Braveheart, otherwise we will go out of topic. But, you know, he's using the great sword, it's massive sword, okay, but then not only he manages to cut everyone down again, they're all wearing full armor. Okay, very strange armor, to be honest, that one they're using that on that film. But again, he starts cutting, but that's not all. He frigging cuts and kills a person through the helmet. So he's, with one swing of the sword, he cuts through the metal helmet, and the head literally explodes. Nice one. What was that helmet made of? What was it? And it's not the only thing. In the real story, there was no love story involved. Nothing. The Irish betray the English and join the Scots during the battle. In what planet? Let's continue focusing on armor. What else have I written down? Today's rant day. Troy. They reach the shores, and you've got all the Trojans there, ready to kill them off, but he's Achilles, so he charges in. And the funny part is, first off, again, you see a lot of people, and this happens as well in Braveheart, if I'm not wrong, that they start dual wielding with no shield, or the shield in the back. You know, there are showers of arrows coming from the Trojans, and they dual wield like this. And that's already the first thing that makes no sense. But again, he cuts through armor like as if it was butter. But why? Oh, by the way, Braveheart, I forgot this. There is this, you know, the old man, the old Scot warrior, and someone, like one of the English, he cuts his hand off. He's on the ground, and he takes his sword, and he literally, I'll need to show you. That's what he does. That's the movement he does to penetrate the armor of his opponent. Again, in full armor, okay? That's what he does. Oh, you cut my hand. Like this, like no strength at all, and he goes through him completely and goes, and actually the sword goes out from the back, so he went through the front of the armor and the back of the armor, all the bones, all the, holy moly, who made that sword? I certainly want it. All of this rant to say, I should have played some Skyrim. No, all of this rant to say, you will have noticed I did not talk about the Lord of the Rings. I did not talk about, because that's fantasy, and it's okay, no problem, I don't care. But when you're doing something historical, it drives me nuts. It's already a big mess, like the battle. You see no formation, you see people, you know, picking an opponent at random and starting fighting, and that was not the case in the Middle Ages, it was not the case in Roman times, it was not the case in Greek classical times. But what can you do? But this fact, this constant of armor in Hollywood, that it doesn't look good. You know what it should look like when you hit armor with a cut, with a sword? It should bounce off. I'll do it. I'll make it. Noble Ones, I am gonna make it. I'm gonna do it myself. I'll do it. I'll make a video with my limited budget, and I will do it for the first time in the history of humanity. I am gonna make a video where two warriors are fighting, and when one of the two tries a cut and mistakenly hits the armor of the other, it will bounce off. I'll do it. I will do. I promise. I will make this. Mark my words. Alright, everyone, so I hope that you enjoyed this rant. I definitely feel much better, so now I can go play some Skyrim, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember, thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content from the Metatron. Remember, you cannot cut through armor. It's very difficult it's impossible to cut through plate, it's impossible to cut through mail, and it's difficult, very difficult to cut through gambeson. Cutting is not a good idea or slashing, they are never good ideas against an opponent in full armor, regardless of the armor. So no, that's not the case, and yeah, I just need to get it out of my system. I feel much better now. I will see you tomorrow for my next daily upload, and remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye. No slashing.